Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Peter Jennings. I go by CSURAM88 across the daily fantasy industry, and stoked to be back at Fantasy Labs doing a lineup review for Week 7, which actually ended up going really well for me despite a couple things going wrong. Really interesting week overall, and a lot to take from it just going forward. So, first contest we're going to review is the contest I always do, the three-man between Bales, Levitan, and I. Just a three-man. We have this as part of the Three Donkeys podcast. So this is my main team on DraftKings. I decided to go Tyrod Taylor, and I was actually starting to lean towards Hundley, but then the weather scared me off Hundley at the end with the rain. So I went Taylor, Chris Ivory, who ended up being chalk, LaShawn McCoy, Eric Decker, who's 100% owned here at 4,300. I really liked him at this price tag in this matchup against Cleveland, who's been good against the run, bad against the pass, and just a total, awful game from Mariota, Rashard Matthews, Decker, everyone across the board. It was very disappointing. Jarvis Landry, I decided to go just with his catching upside, huge prop for him. The touchdown's a bonus, but he's going to get a ton of volume with Devontae Parker out. Demaryius Thomas, who really sank me, an 81-yard pass called back for offensive pass interference. Hunter Henry at 11 points. And then the big one that really saved me was Ezekiel Elliott, who I played a ton across the industry. I ended up loving this Dallas-San Francisco game. Stacked it up a lot of ways and just wanted as much exposure as possible. And Zeke came through in a big way with, I believe, the biggest performance for a running back this year. And then I had Rams D for 17 points. Levitan went with Tyrod, Ivory, McCoy, so the same thing. Decker, Garcon, who I liked quite a bit. I was debating Garcon and Demaryius Thomas. I used a lot of Garcon in tournaments, so I went Thomas in cash. Michael Thomas, who I really liked overall. I thought it was a great bounce back spot for Michael Thomas, but the weather deterred me from using him too much. George Kittle, Le'Veon Bell, and Chargers D, who I used Chargers D quite a bit around the industry. That worked out really well. Mentioned quite a few times I thought the big advantage for the Chargers defense was their defensive line versus the Broncos offensive line, which was beat up, and that came to fruition in this game. So, sharp lineup by Levitan, especially with the Chargers D. I mean, Zeke outscoring Le'Veon really hurt him, and all these receivers basically busted, including Kittle. Bales went with Tyrod, Ivory, McCoy, so same start. Then Antonio Brown, who I really liked. Garcon as well, Kyle Rudolph, Mark Ingram, and the Steelers D. So really good squad overall, just didn't get as many points from the defense. And, just a couple of different things here with the receivers. And obviously not having Zeke was the tough one. So taking a look here at the ownership of this lineup in 2K. So this is, my opinion, the most efficient 50-50 on DraftKings. Has all the studs, a ton of pro players, and it's a good way to gauge ownership. You can also see here the cash line was 141.98, so a pretty high cash line for 2K 50-50. But you can just kind of look here at the ownership. The number one scoring lineup came from Third and Schlong with Beathard, who I played a lot in tournaments. You'll see that in a second. And really hit here big with Zeke, obviously, Jarvis Landry, Garcon, and the Chargers defense. So I thought the ownership were interesting. Just in my players, the Hunter Henry ended up being low owned. I really liked him going against the Broncos defense, and I feel like I had a good process overall with this lineup. It was a tough week. Moving to the Thunderdome, so this was my main tournament team on DraftKings. I took fourth for 20,000. You can see the payouts here. I went with Beathard, Chris Ivory, LaShawn McCoy, Dez Bryant, Decker again just kills me, Garcon, Kittle, and Ezekiel Elliott, so a full basic stack there with Ivory and McCoy, and then the Chargers defense really came through for me here. Felt really good about my process here with this team. I really liked, like I said, I liked the game stack. I really liked Dak as well with the same kind of stacks. I did a lot of those teams as well. Just kind of missed on some of the pieces there. I feel pretty good about the process overall going forward. I mean, Beathard I thought had a good chance because they'd be playing from behind. San Francisco plays at a really high pace. He's at home. Mobile quarterback, did have a rushing touchdown, so thought the process was good. Brandon Adams, good friend here, passed me at the last second with Dak Prescott stack, Zeke, Dez Bryant, Martavis Bryant, Garcon, Ivory, Jimmy Graham, Chargers defense, so 2 tight ends. Got Zeke in there, and a really nice lineup overall from Brandon Adams. Damp had the other lineup here, pretty similar to a cash game lineup. Just went with Mike Evans, who had a good game there. And actually, the crazy thing about this team is getting this score without Ezekiel Elliott. Made up for it with the Bears D, who went totally off. And Mark Ingram had a good game and just more balance here. And then A Ravens 52, another Beathard stack with Ezekiel Elliott, the same kind of core of running backs. You can see Ivory and McCoy were very chalky. Had Dez, Garcon, Marquise Lee, and the Chargers defense. So I thought that was interesting. A lot of overlap in ownership. There's some clear chalk with the tight pricing, and it did come to fruition in the high stakes. So taking a look at the Millionaire Making winning lineup, Russell Wilson at 7%. Really great play. Ezekiel Elliott obviously needed him. Ingram, Doug Baldwin, Marquise Lee, Kenny Stills, which was a really sharp play for, I think, just ownership, given that, the Dolphins are going to try to throw. Landry's going to soak up all the ownership, and 2 touchdowns for Kenny Stills. So great call there by Rob2622. Tyler Kroft at tight end, LaShawn McCoy as the running back. Only mistake here is, you should have Zeke in the flex over LaShawn McCoy to provide flexibility. But the Bears defense as well, and just ran away with the Millionaire Makers. So, Millionaire Maker winning score of 229.66, still really good on a week that was a little challenging. I really had a pretty nice week overall across the industry. Was very fortunate with the Chargers defense and Ezekiel Elliott. And, the Amari Cooper tilt was tough to handle initially in the beginning of the week. It's funny. I say that kind of joking, kind of not. But at least my players and some of the guys have been long for the year are starting to have some big games, and felt good about the process overall this week. So hope this review was helpful for you guys. Hope this next week's really exciting. We have NBA going on, NHL. I believe golf is still going on. So great time in sports. The World Series is starting up, and hope everything goes well for anything that you're speculating on. As always, looking to see more Fantasy Lab subscribers at the top of the leaderboard. Good luck.